Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by the fans for the fans. And thank you for joining us. This is episode 75. I'm your host, the grumpy old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, and musician, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, Steelers fan, Booker Andy.
Booker Andy.
I am also your host, the no selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
And we got to
keep saying Booker Andy until more Booker Andy shirts get bought. So I'm
more Booker Andy, more Booker Andy shirts, guys. Come on, and then also we're gonna get a Jeremy football lover shirt going in a few months. Well, guys and gals, today we will be talking about new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns come face-to-face, AEW Revolution review, and more. But before we get started, please head on over to YouTube, search the PW Fan, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We got merch over on ProWrestlingTees.com that we were just talking about. 5 shirt designs, 3 different PW Fan logo shirts, very wearable, 2 different Booker Andy shirts, cool different graphics, white and black, and for all other social media, search us by just looking up at the PW Fan. We should pop right up. TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. All right. Well, that's going to take us through the intro stuff. Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you because we got a lot to talk about today. Let's go, guys. Big show. Episode 75.
Yes. We got a whole pay-per-view to cover, so let's get into this. Before we get into Raw, though, I wanted to talk about AEW dropped the first trailer for All Access. I wanted your guys' thoughts on it.
It looked all right.
I'm gonna watch it.
We were trashing.
I know Tim's
good.
We were trashing it pretty bad.
Tim's not a huge reality show guy, but
I thought it looked really good. It looks like they're gonna get into the Eddie Kingston, Sammy Guevara beef, the drama with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker stuff. Which also means, though, if all that was filmed, there's got to be something on the Brawl Out.
Right. Just maybe some hallway shot or whatever of the brawl.
Or people running to the locker room. Because who knows how long the station was filming for?
I still don't.
Right. Yeah, because that's all.
You know?
That's definitely before then.
Doesn't make any sense how these guys haven't cashed in on this yet. But like we said a few weeks ago, the fire's going to burn out eventually and people are going to stop caring. So hopefully Punk comes back soon. Punk comes back soon.
Well, what did Andy send something, right? About Punk might be coming back sooner?
More and more likely.
Yeah. And then his injury is actually healing, another month or 2?
He says he wants to still wrestle, so.
Yeah.
I mean, God, Tony Khan's a businessman. You would think they would.
Yeah. It's just say you're sorry,
for
guys.
Business, pal. You would think
everyone
you would
needs to say they're sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if Brett and Sean can put differences aside and, do matches, obviously one ended with the Montreal thing, so, that's kind of a weird example. But I'm just saying there was a willingness to do, even in disagreements when people didn't like each other. Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper at one point weren't super crazy about each other. Matt Hardy and Edge obviously had their issue, and they still had matches together even right after. So it's come on, just do it. We all want to
make some money.
Yeah,
let's make some fans happy. I'm ready for those dream matches, those dream CM Punk matches that we never got.
Have FTR and CM Punk versus the Elite. The Elite.
Punk versus Kenny Omega. We never got it. We didn't get Punk versus Danielson in the AEW format.
Dude, the last match we got was Hangman. Or no, Moxley.
Was that the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they had the back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into Raw. Like Tim said, we have a lot to cover, so I want to get to Revolution because we will be covering that as a whole. Raw opened up this week with Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. They came out and claimed that the bloodline is doing just fine, when really we all know they are not. They're crumbling from the inside. Street Profits would end up coming out, and they kind of had a funny back and forth I believe Jimmy was struggling not to laugh at one point when Street Profits were cutting their promo. But this would lead, I believe, to a match between the two teams. After that, we had Brock Lesnar and the MVP on the VIP lounge. Some people might not like this segment. I thought it was funny. Brock's hilarious. He got out to the VIP lounge before MVP even got out there and kind of kicked back and had a little back and forth with MVP. And there was a funny like high-fiving MVP segment, or like part of the whole segment. And then Brock would end up doing like a toast with MVP with some whiskey. This was all to hype up the match at Mania with Brock and Omos. And I see everyone online talking about this match, and they're just like, Triple H is booking like Vince McMahon. It's like, if you just read, Omos wasn't the first choice. He wasn't even the second choice.
Yeah.
You know, and if Brock said no to Bray, then...
Which, thank God, he did.
But he also said no... Well,
yeah.
Stone Cold said no to Brock. Or said no to another match.
I mean, that's fair to Stone Cold. I wouldn't want to get thrown around when I'm like almost 60. Or he's... How old is he?
He's up there.
Yeah.
Austin's like, God damn, kid, I'm not 60 yet.
But everyone's acting like this was like Triple H's plan all along. It's like it wasn't. Just look it up.
And also, did you hear that Brock might be done with WWE
He's
after
telling
this?
people he's finishing up with WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Not
I'll
that
believe it when I see it till the next paycheck comes in.
I don't know how much longer he has on his contract. Obviously, he signs a contract, but Omos is not going to be his last match.
Yeah. I mean, there's really not much, like, he's not going for the title anymore, so I don't know what else they can do with him, other than those big matches every now and then.
Maybe he does go for the title at one point.
You know, it's interesting.
Now, like, after Mania.
A few years ago, you know, because what I was about to say is I wonder who Brock is going to pass the torch to when it comes his time, because his big thing is he ended the streak. So now he gets that, like, immortal, like, moment. And not only that, it's like he's the guy that ended the Undertaker's streak. And then I was thinking, okay, well, who's he going to do that for? You got to pass it on. And then I remembered he kind of tried to do that with Drew McIntyre, but it was during the pandemic. It was like the most poor guy. It was like the most anticlimactic, like what should have been a huge moment where he beat Brock clean in the ring. It's like, no one was there for it.
Matt Riddle has said he wants to be Brock's last match.
Okay, well, no one wants to see that. Go away.
I guess it's the MMA background. You both in UFC at one point.
He's like, dude, I would love to fight Brock, dude. It'd be sick.
But as I was saying with the MVP lounge, the VIP lounge, Brock did a toast with a flask. It was supposed to be whiskey. And at first MVP didn't want to do it. Then he did it. And he ended up spitting the whiskey all over MVP. And Brock, of course, F5'd him at the end of the segment. So then we had a really good match with, dude, and it has to be Chad Gable. Cody Rhodes versus Chad Gable was really good. Chad Gable had a really good match with Rollins a little while ago. We talked about.
He's a good wrestler.
He's great. I've seen him have a really good match with AJ Styles. So they had a really good match, and Cody was the winner. And afterwards, Cody talked about how he can't wait for Friday when Roman's on SmackDown because he will be there too. And as Tim said, we will be talking about Cody and Roman coming face to face finally. There was a weird video on the Titantron after Bobby Lashley's match to, I guess, continue the whole Bray Wyatt storyline with him that they have just begun. And he was doing this whole muscle man dance thing. Terrible.
Are you guys over Bray?
Yeah. There's no explanation.
Yeah, me too. It's not even like that joke where, like, you know, you won't get it anymore. It's just like,
just don't get it.
No one gets it.
No, there's too many moving parts. He does the fun house.
What is it?
Uncle Howdy.
At some point, you got to tell people
but it's provocative.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Sexual and violent.
Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative. Blades of Glory, Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I made you a painting.
Stop! We can't go off on movie quotes. Because we did that in the car ride from the concert me and Tim went to. We had Miz TV, where it was announced by The Miz that he is going to be the host of WrestleMania this year, which makes sense. It's in Hollywood. He considers himself the A-lister. Hollywood, it's all part of the gimmick. So, plus it's like, where does Miz fit on? He's been on Mania basically every year for years, so got to put him somewhere. And it is in Hollywood, so he'll fit right in with that. But Seth Rollins comes out and ends up taking the Miz's phone and FaceTimes Logan Paul in a kind of weird, felt pre-taped segment. Like Logan Paul wasn't actually on the other. Yeah, like he wasn't actually on the other line, and
yeah, I don't like those.
Yeah. At the end, he said, "Bye-bye, bitch," and so they are moving forward with that storyline. Seth Rollins and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Now, our main event was Lita and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Towards the end of the match, Trish Stratus ends up running out. And after, I'd say a pretty good match. Though, look, I know it's not her fault because she is older. But Lita is just slow. I feel like I'm watching slow motion sometimes with her.
Yeah. It's
tough, her age. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's just like, close. Like, it just, everything's just like slowed down.
Yeah, it's kind of tough when you see like she's like, especially wrestlers that you loved, and then they're like getting to this age. You're like, all right, I know you could do it faster before.
Yeah. So Trish Stratus would come out at the end and interfere. Not in the match, but outside the ring, she would take out Bayley, and Lita and Becky Lynch would end up winning the titles and becoming the new new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. This is likely setting up a 6-woman tag match: Lita, Trish, and Becky versus all of Damage Control. Gets them all in the card at Mania.
Yeah, I was either thinking that or like, is it gonna be Trish and Bayley as singles?
Mm-hmm. And then have the
no, that'd just be a rematch.
People are gonna want to see Lita and Trish together.
Yeah.
Booker Andy says no. That wraps up Raw. Let's quickly get into Dynamite. I'm not even talking about Rampage this week because everything AEW is go
Sunday
home stuff
Heat
for the Revolution. Sunday Night Heat 2.0 Velocity. If some of you listeners are even old enough to remember
Velocity,
I mean,
gotta remember that.
AEW Rampage and AEW Dark are basically the same show.
WCW Thunder.
AEW Thunder.
Yeah.
AEW Thunder, yeah.
You know, it's funny. I used to watch Sunday Night Heat and Velocity all the time, though. Like, I don't know why, but I used to watch it.
Because it was wrestling.
Mostly because it was wrestling, but also a lot of the times, some old man talk here. They would always shoot Sunday Night Heat live the night of the pay-per-view, and for whatever reason, there was a time period where
you could watch that before.
We would ask my mom if we could order the pay-per-view, and she'd be like, "No, you're not allowed to stay up that late." And because it's Sunday,
so my parents would say too.
So we'd watch Sunday Night Heat, so you could like see the arena and at least like see like the set.
Yeah,
I used to do that all the time.
We get to watch Steven Richards all the time.
Yeah, Stevie Richards.
He was always on it.
Dude, they called him Stevie Night Heat.
Dude, he was on every week. Him and like Maven.
Yeah, Maven. Oh my God.
And like the Hurricane would be like on a good day. You'd be like, "Oh snap, cool." Like one cool guy.
Like, this is awesome.
So yeah, Dynamite. We had the Face of the Revolution ladder match. The winner was Powerhouse Hobbs, and instead of going for the AEW World Championship, it seems like he's going to be going after the TNT Championship. That ring, that they need to change it. It's just a big Sonic ring, like Sonic
it is.
gold.
I don't like
ring,
the look
man.
of it.
I hate it. It's like a big life preserver, just painted golden.
Yeah, it's a weird.
And it's like
design.
weird for them to. Like, it's awkward for them to like unhook it because it's like
it's like
just,
in their
like,
face as they're
too
doing
big. Yeah. So Powerhouse.
That was a good
Hobbs,
match. Though. Like, who was Sorry, real quick for that match. Who was that? The Lucha guy, Commander.
Real quick, let me go.
He did a couple spots that I was like, oh my god! Like he ran the ropes.
So everyone in the match was Powerhouse Hobbs, Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, Takeshita, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, AR Fox, and yes, Commander with a K and one M.
That one spot where they ran all the way across the ring on the ropes and then jumped off the other ones and dove onto everyone else. It was a crazy spot.
What kind of jobber ass name is Commander though? Good lord, with a K.
I know. I was like, that can't be right.
Well, speaking of Eddie Kingston, who was in the match afterwards, later in the night, he would backstage say that he quits AEW, and then he showed up at the first taping of Ring of Honor, Honor Club or whatever.
Yeah,
and he would challenge Claudio, which this is a big wrestling news story. If you know anything about their feud on the Indies, I don't think they actually like each other at all.
Yeah, they legitimately don't.
And I believe it comes back to, I could be wrong, but Claudio didn't, on your way out, you put people over, and Claudio didn't want to put him over on his way out to go to the WWE.
Well, again, this is coming down. Two guys that don't like each other, willing to work with each other. Eddie Kingston also had an issue with Sammy Guevara, and they had a match together and worked a little program. It's like, how come these guys can do that, but then, the EVPs and Punk just can't do it? Yeah,
well, I mean, it's kind of like, say what you want about Eddie Kingston, but it seems like he has beef with every single wrestler, apparently.
But he'll work with them.
He can put it to the side.
He just doesn't like people, man, is what I get.
I know.
He doesn't like Punk, doesn't like Sammy, doesn't like Jericho,
he works with
doesn't
all
like
of them.
Danielson.
Yeah.
He has no problem working with them. He's worked with all of them.
There's totally, though, a group of guys that really do like him, like referee Bryce Remsburg, who actually, if you did watch the pay-per-view, I did his beard. Because I am a barber. I do mention that in the beginning. And he came into the shop just totally by chance, though. Like, it's like I saw his name, and I was like, wait a minute, this has to be like the guy. And then like
on the website when booking you, it says that you're like wrestling, like it's in your like kind of bio.
Yeah.
So it's an easy pick for him. He's not a client of yours, so he probably just picked you.
Well, it was funny. I don't want to say too much, but when I turned around and showed him my workstation, I had an autograph of CM Punk at my station, and he goes, "Oh, CM Punk." He's like, "That's a hot button. That's a hot button issue at my work right now." And I was like,
"What really happened at Brawl?"
Yeah. I did not.
You gotta dig for it. You gotta dig, Tim.
I didn't bother him about it. I did not pry for any information. The coolest thing we
cut. You tell me what really happened.
The coolest thing we talked about was, and this is some inside scoop. So apparently, referee Bryce is in charge of all the traveling, and his favorite wrestler growing up was Sting. So he said, and he was at Starrcade '97 in DC, the Hogan versus Sting match, where Sting had he was already back as the Crow Sting, but he like finally wrestled as the Crow Sting. And then, but he's like, dude, it's so weird. Like sometimes I'll just like look down at my phone and it'll be like Sting being like, "Hey, where am I supposed to be on this day?"
That's so cool.
I'm like, dude, that's got to be wild. That's got to be like a wild feeling. But,
wow.
But yeah, like, I don't know where I was going with all that.
Talking about people backstage.
Oh no! I get it. So there's a picture on his Instagram, on Bryce, the referee's Instagram, of like Eddie Kingston, him, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and like they're all hanging out. Like, so I mean, I definitely think there's like a group of people that do like him. You know, like Eddie Kingston.
Oh yeah.
Like they're all like at dinner, like with their arms.
Does.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Eddie Kingston, it looks like he's going to be on ROH, which, you know, good.
Yeah.
I think more people need to move over and actually stay there now that the Ring of Honor has its own show. The rosters can stay separate instead of coming onto one another.
And it's only going to be a streamed product.
Yes, you have to subscribe to Honor Club.
Yeah. I feel like that's just for now
hit
thing.
me up and I'll give you a website.
Oh my God, Andy.
No, don't do that. Do not hit Andy up for any illegal websites. He is just kidding.
Get the website if you give me a follow on the 410 Fan Bros.
No, don't do that. I mean, you can follow
He'll
him.
send it to you for free if you buy one.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Let's continue though, guys, because we got to get to Revolution. Christian Cage would challenge Jungle Boy at Revolution, and we found out it was going to be what they're calling a final burial match, which is basically just buried alive.
It's a casket match, yeah.
Yeah, it's a casket match. But we'll talk about how it's set up at Revolution. It wasn't typical. And then we had a casino tag team battle royal to figure out the fourth team for the. I'm trying to figure out what to call the match. It's not a 4-man tag. It's a 4-team tag. It's a fatal 4-way tag match, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. And the winners were Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, which I thought was really random.
It was random, but then also when you watch the match on the pay-per-view, I was glad that they were there.
Yeah, no, it worked out. There were some fun spots during that match. Then to cap off the show, we had a promo segment between Bryan Danielson and MJF. One more time before we would see them again at the pay-per-view. Some of the things that were said was Danielson said he hates me because people called me the best wrestler in the world, and as the AEW champion, he thinks he deserves that. And Danielson also said, if there's one thing you deserve, it's your fiance leaving you.
Man.
Yeah,
that actually just happened to him.
Yep. And he said, pinning shoulders to mats and banging rats. Is that what you do, Max? That doesn't seem like someone I'd want my daughter to marry. So he's just doubling down on this whole fiance leaving him thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then the last thing that ended the segment was Danielson said, you better be ready to fight with everything you have for 60 full minutes, because if you don't, you are going to get your fucking head kicked in.
Yeah.
Strong words from Danielson.
And that one at least sounded like planned because they cut it, like the whole sentence out.
Yes.
On TV.
Yes, much better than beat the crap out of you or something they said the other day.
Yeah.
So, let's get into this very good opening of Smackdown this week.
Oh, it's like I've never seen so many notes on one segment.
I just keep typing for this segment because I didn't want to forget anything. And also, usually I write my notes afterwards and kind of look some stuff up to jog my memory. But Smackdown this week I wrote while I was watching, so that's why it's more detailed. SmackDown opened up with the Bloodline and Roman. It didn't take long though till I believe it was right after Roman said "Acknowledge me." Cody Rhodes would come out. This is the first time we're seeing Cody Rhodes and Roman face to face, and let me tell you, this segment got me hyped. I mean, I was already hyped for the match, but this segment was very, very, very good. So Cody Rhodes comes out. He ends up saying, does Roman, need the Bloodline with him in the ring? Roman tells the Bloodline and Paul Heyman to leave. And Cody starts talking about how doing the impossible is kind of his thing. It's like his mountain to climb. He mentions Doesn't say it by name, but he says, they didn't think me and my friends could sell out a 10,000 seat arena or whatever, and we did in so and so seconds.
Yeah. There's a pretty good cheer for that.
Yeah,
I feel like people knew it.
But that was just one of the few things that he mentioned. And then afterwards, Roman says, basically like, man, he's really good, isn't he? He's like, that was good. But then he puts both titles on the mat, and he says, you're not going to like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Puts the titles on the mat, and he starts doing his side. And this was a good promo from Roman, too.
Yeah.
So he's looking down at the titles, and he said to Cody, have you ever won one of those? Have you ever even competed for one of them? He says, have you ever main evented WrestleMania? And then he talks about how he was groomed by his father and by Cody's father to do this. And for the most part, he talks about Dusty Rhodes positively. He even says, I have nothing bad to say about him. He loved him. And he does a little Dusty impression, which I've never seen Roman do before.
It felt so awkward seeing him do that.
Yeah. And then he says, want to know what he would say about you? He said, nothing. And then Roman says, if there's anything he didn't teach you, I will. So after that, Cody comes back and he says, it's like a realization that he had. He said, you didn't send Heyman to Raw to get in my head, but to tell me the truth. And then this is I typed out the whole quote, so I didn't forget a single word. He said, if the truth is that one of the fabled Dusty's kids is better than one of Dusty's actual kids, if that's the truth, then you're the son that he always wanted. And that changes everything, because it's not just a dream or an urge or a want or a desire or some story that needs to be finished. This becomes a necessity. You say I don't exist, I have to exist. And the only way I can exist is by beating you at WrestleMania. Oh, this whole opening to the show was fantastic.
It's great storytelling.
And I think things like this, not that people don't care or not caring about Sami anymore, but it starts to shift the scales of like wanting Sami against Roman. I feel
you give like a good story then for Cody as well. So it's not just like he just wants to go after the title anymore.
So Tim, did you see this, or what do you think of after I?
Well, I did see it, and I'm super excited for it, and yeah, it was. I wasn't as big of a fan as the ending of the promo as you guys were, about how it's like, this is how I got it. I can only exist if I do this, and like that kind of thing. But the rest of it I really liked, and. Andy, I just wanted to point out one thing about Roman, because I don't know if we even mentioned this, but talking about what a study is and everything, at the last pay-per-view when he wrestled Sami, did you notice that like even when he like locked up, it would get like a mini pop from the crowd? It'd be like, woo, like anytime he even like would like lock up,
you
a
and me
crowd,
were watching together, and you were like, you looked over, you're like, even that lockup, you're like, oh, what a stud.
Yeah.
It was just proper, it was like...
He's the man. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. This, to me, feels like a good WrestleMania match. Like one that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. Well, you got to think, how many years in a row have we gotten like Lesnar and Roman, or...
that was like the past 10 years.
It feels like it's been every year for the past 10 years, but seriously. Like last year, it was the biggest WrestleMania match ever for both titles, and it was them too, and we've seen them too. But this will be a good like wrestling match.
I think so, and it'll be better when Cody wins.
Yes, I'm sure Roman's got to take some time off afterwards, and then it'll make his comeback better if he goes away for a little bit. Yeah. He's already kind of on that part-time schedule anyway. We had Dominic Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. Winner was Dominic, and afterwards he tears Rey Mysterio's mask. I don't know if it's supposed to be the one that Rey gave Santos, but I would think that's what they're trying to do. Rey would end up coming out, and Dominic ends up elbowing Rey. There's only one reason why they're doing this, and that's father versus son. WrestleMania. Hopefully,
Dominic's
Rey's last
gonna win
match.
at WrestleMania too.
It should be his last match. End at WrestleMania. End with your son. Pass the torch. Pass the literal mask.
Do you think he would pass the mask?
Yes, but do I think he's worthy? Is the question.
I don't think he needs the mask.
Wrestle like him,
dude. He doesn't need the mask. Dominic's on to something, dude. With this, the annoying heel,
with the corny bad guy.
He changes his name to Rey Mysterio the Third
because
the third.
It shows that he does to pull off the corny bad guy. You have to have some charisma because it's funny. Mm-hmm. Like he has something. Like it just takes a while.
Yeah, it's like an annoyance.
Yeah,
but like,
what was that video of him like lifting the weights and he's like lifting like 20
with
pounds?
Sheamus and Drew, and it's like,
it's
like 10 pounds each.
Yeah, it's 10,000.
He's like, this is how we used to lift in the yard. And they're just in the background like,
in the yard.
But he knows. I mean, they know it's funny. They finally like instead of trying to make it like serious every time.
Yeah.
Ever since the prison dom thing, it's like, okay, now you're onto something.
Yeah.
And him and Rhea works. I like the combo of him and Rhea. Like it sounds like it'd be definitely.
But
they think about when they first started that, you would be like, "Oh my god, this is gonna suck so bad." And then like now you're like, "Dude, they pulled it off." And not only that, I'm like, "It's great."
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of like a Vince idea that he's just like, just wait, they'll like it, and then down the road.
It didn't start with him.
Yeah, it did. This did start with Vince.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We'll have to see, but I'm sure we're getting Mania Dom versus Rey. It would just be a waste of time to be doing this right before Mania, when there's other stuff they could be filming the show with. Drew McIntyre would come out and challenge Gunther. After he challenges them, though, Sheamus would come out, and LA Knight would come out. Yeah. Then the New Day would come out. Both Kofi and Xavier Woods, then Karrion Kross would come out. So it looks like everyone is going for Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I'd like to see, if we're having all those options at Mania and it has to be a singles match, Drew versus Gunther could be good.
It's gonna be like
a see Sheamus and him. We saw it at Clash of the Castle, so I don't want to see Karrion Kross and Gunther.
Is it gonna be like a ladder match?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're leading to. I don't know if there's going to be like a number one contenders match before Mania. But if it does get down to a singles, I'd like to see Drew.
The pop that LA Knight got when he came out.
People love him.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Dude, he's great. He's great on the mic.
He's
slight in the ring. He's better than Karrion Kross.
So let me ask you guys some questions, because I'm serious. Like, what is it about LA Knight? And I'm trying to think of like maybe who else.
You got to watch his full segments.
No, but hang on. Hear me out. Over the years, there's been some guys that were NXT guys that obviously, when they came up, it worked. Seth Rollins was the original NXT champion. Look at where he's at now. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, NXT guys. You know, obviously, and I know they were big in Ring of Honor and everything before that, but I'm just saying. But, like, what is it about those guys, like an LA Knight or someone, and the rest of these guys, but then someone like Karrion Kross, and then, I don't know, there's been countless other NXT guys when they come up, even if their gimmick changes, like Johnny Gargano right now. Like, he's not really doing anything, like, of note.
Well, I feel like Gargano kind of got, like, I wouldn't say ruined when he first came up, because of all the stupid stuff he was doing, but he wasn't treated like he was in NXT, and I kind of feel like they lost it, and now they're trying to get back to it.
Like in my
to me,
head,
LA Knight is just cool.
something also that, I mean, there's different reasons for different people. If you go on TikTok, there's plenty of people going, yeah, and just
That's true.
making a bunch of videos and like doing his like it's like hearing a catchy song that you don't like, but like you hear yourself doing it a lot.
Yeah. He's also like cool about it. I don't know how to explain it than that. Like, and carrying cross is not.
And maybe everyone felt bad for him, like, God, Bray Wyatt or him, poor LA Knight getting through this feud with Bray Wyatt.
So, I mean, I guess it really goes to show, like, you in both aspects, you can believe in something so hard and that it works. You know, for instance, like the People's Elbow, if you think about it, if you take yourself outside of like a wrestling fan, it is like the dumbest move ever. But when The Rock does it, it's sick. Like,
Didn't Hogan not want to take it?
I don't even remember that part. But
I'm not kicking out, or he's like, I'm not getting pinned with that, brother. You have a fucking leg drop, which is almost as dumb as a People's Elbow, and the 5-knuckle shuffle.
Like
that might be worse than the People's Elbow.
That's worse than People's Elbow.
Yeah, I mean they're all
literally
pretty...
just, and also the way that he does it.
But like whether it's a catchphrase or a move, if you really believe in it, you know, it's
authenticity. Is what
it can pay off. Like Matt Hardy kept apparently being like, "Look, I want to do this version 1 thing," and like Matt Hardy version 1. And Stephanie McMahon was like, I don't get it. Like what are you trying to do? And he's like, just let me try.
But he believed in it.
Yeah. And then like, so it pays off. However, then there's like the scenario with like a Bray where it's like, obviously he loves and believes in him. He loves him. He believes in what he's doing, but it's like, dude, what's happening? You gotta tell me
something to work with. Give me something to understand.
Yeah. Someone needs to like pull him back.
Is there going to be a part though where this all? Do you guys think, whether it's next month or after WrestleMania or whatever, when do we find out? Like, okay, so it's the big sci-fi movie, right? And it's a mind thriller.
Does it ever end?
But that's what I'm saying. When do you get the big climactic? What's the payoff?
It's a
Bray
twist
Wyatt
ending.
character. The Undertaker, went on for years and years. How does this longevity wise, like?
Yeah, well, the twist ending is that he never explains it to anyone, and he just keeps doing it. And then we just keep saying the same thing.
Yeah, we just keep having the same conversations of what's this mean? When's it over?
Are we pretty sure that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys had to like put money on it, if you had to put money on it,
all right.
would you say that it was on? Would you
I lost
say it
some
was
money this weekend on UFC? No, I'd bet on it, saying that it is.
I would too, but also I don't think they should reveal him because who cares? It's Bo Dallas. It's more that he's Uncle Howdy right now. Because imagine him like taking his mask off.
Head,
yeah.
And then the Firefly Funhouse comes crumbling.
But so Uncle, just stay with me for a second, then we'll get back on track.
Uncle Bo, Uncle Dallas.
So even if Uncle Howdy ever takes his mask off, which how can you wrestle like actual matches with that mask on? But anyway, if he ever takes that mask off, and then it's Bo Dallas. Okay. Then what?
No one's gonna care.
And then what? It's like, what does that mean?
It's just like, I guess I'm Uncle Howdy forever now.
Well, that's what I mean. And then
Uncle
it's
Howdy
like
signed to a contract.
But then it becomes like a bigger mess. It's like, oh, it's Bray Wyatt's younger brother, Bo Dallas, and it's like, he's not his uncle. And it's like, what? None of this. It's even more messy.
It's like a not make a wish. It's like a wish version of Kane and Undertaker as brothers.
Make a wish version.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's a wish. It's a wish version of Kane and Undertaker as brothers.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's not good.
Let's get back on track because we could talk shit on that whole thing for a while. We had okay, sorry. Well, I guess we'll continue. We had a Bobby Lashley segment. He comes
speaking of Uncle Howdy,
he comes out on SmackDown, and Uncle Howdy would end up coming out and attacking Lashley, but Lashley ends up taking out Uncle Howdy, and the lights go dark, and then Uncle Howdy is nowhere to be found, aka went out of the ring.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Because he's like, bro, look, I can't see in this thing. I can do like 3 moves tops, and then I got to get out of there.
He can't see because remember at the pay-per-view when he jumped and he completely missed, was it LA Knight on the ground?
Yeah.
Like, he definitely can't see.
He's like, I'm good for like he's like, I'm good for a jump or like a spear, and then you got to hit the lights and I'm out of there. He's like, I can't see.
The main event of SmackDown was Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa. Winner was Solo Sikoa. Jimmy and Solo end up attacking Sami after the match, but Sami ends up getting the upper hand and escapes. No help from Kevin Owens or anything. That's SmackDown. All right, guys, let's get into the meat and potatoes. I know we've been going for 41 and a half minutes, but let's get into Revolution. As
Under
always
a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Yes, but still more matches, double the matches than a normal WWE pay-per-view. So they're still doing a lot. There could have been more if the main event wasn't an Iron Man match. They would have fit it.
That's true. Yeah.
So, I'm going to have to pass this to you guys for the opening match because Bleacher Report was not working very well for me. Maybe Jeremy might have to pass it to Tim as well. The opening match was Chris Jericho and Ricky Starks.
I got into it in like 10 minutes in or 15 minutes in because Bleacher Report didn't work for me either.
Okay.
JAS
is banned from ringside.
JAS is banned from ringside. Overall, I thought this was one of the better classic wrestling matches on the show. Like, there was a little bit of outside interference. There was a story. Ricky Starks, when he first comes out, he has the tape on his ribs.
Did he get a good pop? People really like Ricky.
Yeah. But they were playing up the, he's selling the ribs. He has the tape on the ribs. It's a good back and forth match. At first, Ricky is like, I would say, dominating in the beginning. Then there's the classic Jericho gets the upper hand. He does something dirty. Then he takes over for a while. Then there was some interference, and there's like more back and forth. And then like there was some stuff with a ref. Like, it was very much a pro wrestling match.
Who interfered? Because weren't they banned if it was the JAS?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Or did the ref get knocked down and they came?
No. There was somebody at ringside. I just can't remember who it was. For like, there was a distraction. But then anyway, Starks won with his finishing.
I like
move.
his spear kind of thing.
That's
his spear's nice.
But dude, what is
it.
that? What is that like finishing move that he does? That thing is badass.
I forget what it's called.
Rochambeau.
Is that what it is?
It looked like, I was like, dang, Jericho took that? That's crazy. But like, it looked like an intense move.
Yeah.
But I
like
actually
Tim said, Ricky Starks. Sorry, go on.
No, I just overall like this to me, because this is the type of wrestling I like, where there's a story and there's not a bunch of stuff. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of interference and like some stuff, but that's just pro wrestling. And there was some ref play, and like it just was a kind of a classic wrestling match. And in the end, Jericho put over Ricky Starks, and I was like, cool. I was cool with it.
Good opener for a show.
I think so.
Okay, cool. Well, after that, we had a little bit of a different kind of match. It wasn't a singles match. It was a final burial match. Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
I actually didn't get to see this match. This is one of the ones I didn't get to see. So I have to let
you would
guys...
have appreciated Jungle Boy's gear. I don't know if he knew what he was doing. But
that was like the first thing I saw when I saw him. That's why I texted you guys.
so he comes out in jeans and brown boots. He's looking like Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam against Triple H, and his wrists were taped white, and looking like Shawn Michaels.
You know, he has the hair already.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
That was time to get up, Andy.
Hope it wasn't too loud for the fans. So, and then Christian, I didn't really like Christian's gear during this match.
He almost had like a turtleneck on, but it was sleeveless.
It was like a sleeveless all black. He was in all black, and it was like a turtleneck, but like sleeveless.
He looked like a Matrix character.
So the way they did you could say it's a casket match, is the casket was up on the, I won't say
side
ramp,
of the stage,
but it's like, side of like the stage. There's dirt around it, but like it's sitting as in like in like a hole, like a casket would be lowered if you were like actually burying someone. And it's just unnecessary,
so
like an inch of dirt everywhere.
Yeah, it just had the illusion that it was around dirt.
So you win by, putting your opponent in the casket and closing it, and then the casket would end up going down.
It like shot down when he closed it.
Yeah. If Christian was actually in there and didn't escape beforehand, like, fuck you up.
I guess the whole like build to this match, like the whole match is building to the point of where Jungle Boy like hits the Christian in the head with the chair.
Yes. So I mean, there was a lot going on. It was basically no disqualification, but the big thing at the end was, Jungle Boy was kind of fighting with doing this to Christian, but he did a concerto to him, right? The classic Edge and Christian move. Christian's head is laying on a chair on the stage, and I mean, he fucking hit that sucker hard. It rang through that arena. And everyone's chanting "Holy shit!" And then he ends up putting him in the casket. But for what it was, not just not a classic wrestling match, but a gimmick match. I thought it was good showcasing for both, and it was different. This is the first time they've ever done this match, unlike one of the matches that they do later in the night, which they've done a million times. But it was different for them, and I mean the fans seem to have really liked it, and hopefully, I'm sure if Christian didn't get hurt all those months back, this feud would have been over with. But it looked like it got put on the back burner until now. Yeah. So who knows if this was actually what they wanted to get to, was this kind of match. But
I mean it worked out well then. But
winner was Jungle Boy.
What's that?
I said the winner was Jungle Boy in the end.
The
winner.
Yeah, but what I like about this pay-per-view, though, it's kind of like, I know there's one match that you didn't like too much, but that they do all the time, but they do, it's like definitely a variety show, this pay-per-view, compared to past ones.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Look, overall, I thought the whole pay-per-view was actually really good.
I did notice that they cut out...
I remember the lead-up. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I did notice that AEW in general at this point has kind of really cut out all the stupid stuff. Like, I mean, when I say stupid, I mean, they still do stuff that's like still, I think, too much, and we'll get into that. But I mean, like, you don't have, like, when we were talking about the variety of show, at one point it would be like, how is this match a thing? And then the next match you're supposed to, like, take seriously. Like when they were doing like the football field match and like stuff like that. Like, I think they finally.
I mean, during COVID, like anything could have happened. Like
awful.
Stadium Stampede. Don't forget the when Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho did like the
what they call it.
I don't know. It was like Jericho's like champagne in like a
Do you remember when Matt Hardy went into the water? And then was like, what was he doing?
With Bray Wyatt?
No, in AEW,
when he like went into different gimmicks each time they put him underwater.
Oh, at the Stadium Stampede, the first one.
Yeah,
So bad.
And then also when Matt
As
Hardy,
V1 and then come out as like
yeah. When Matt Hardy debuted in AEW, he teleported. Remember that?
Yes.
Vanguard 1 came out and
Yeah. That was rough.
yeah, to no fans too. And so it was just like womp womp.
Just him up in the arena like yeah, and it's like dead quiet.
All right, let's keep it going. Yeah, so I mean, I was just gonna say, leading up to this pay-per-view, I remember us talking and it feeling like lackluster, but no, it all came together pretty well. In the end.
Yeah.
So after the Christian Cage and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, we had the Elite versus House of Black. This match was awesome.
Great match.
I really wanted to see this match a long time ago when House of Black was getting booked horribly, but since coming back,
Now look at them.
It's been great. It started off with Kenny Omega and Buddy Matthews, which was awesome. They crushed it together.
Yeah.
And then it switched from him to Malachi Black and Kenny Omega, and every time those guys got in the ring throughout the match, it was fun. Now, I will say, at one point I noticed, they start with tagging, and then by the end everyone's in the ring, and I just don't understand it. But why even start with the tagging? Eventually, I'm like, I have no idea who the lead.
Yeah, there was one point where I think they were all in the ring, whatever. Then someone went out, and then it was like Kenny and like Malachi or whatever. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Matt Jackson was the last person to tag it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Tim has hot takes, but
Who was the ref? Was it the corpse?
who do you think?
It was the corpse.
Yeah, it's always that guy.
When it's the Bucks, it's always the corpse. I literally was going to text you if I knew you were watching at the time of us and be like, of course it's him.
On fucking Tim Burton. Goddamn Tim Burton character.
Yes, the corpse was the ref. But overall, really good match. Good showcasing for both teams, I thought. A lot of fun spots. But your winners, and maybe it was too early to do this for the Elite, but right time and very much needed for House of Black. House of Black won, and they are now the AEW Trios Tag Team Champions.
I like that.
I do too. So, Tim, I don't know if you had gotten around to that match, but yes, they are the new Trios Champions.
I like it. And I also took a picture of Julia Hart and used it for a band thing that I had today. So, thanks, House of Black.
She got involved a little bit in the match for like a second.
They took that picture with all those masks, and like hers looked the coolest, so I like cropped it. I cropped it, like put like a weird video effect on it, and then my band's logo. Like
at least you're giving your source of your copyrighted stuff.
I always
might run some copyright there.
Yeah, someone's Instagram picture.
So moving forward, we had the AEW Women's Championship match. It was a triple threat: Jamie Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho. Another good match. It's only a ladies' match on the show, but I thought all women did well. Triple threats and like fatal four ways can always be kind of weird for the performers, I hear. But no, this was good. Jamie Hayter would end up retaining, and afterwards,
that's not the only industry they say that in.
What?
Triple threats and fatal four ways can be awkward for the performers in other industries as well.
Afterwards,
interrupted Andy for that.
Ruby tosses out Saraya and basically says that like this is their house. Now, she doesn't say those exact words, but it's basically saying like,
basically
she said
this is our place, not yours. This is our, company, not yours, basically. But it was all a dark, cruel ploy. Sign me up for another. If you know, you know. That was a dark, cool boy.
Sign me up for another. All right. keep her rolling.
Ruby would end up, though, turning on Britt and Jamie Hayter and actually has joined.
Yes. Nothing was
Britt,
off limits.
has joined Tony and Saraya.
Yeah.
So now, now it's.
I thought for a second she just decided not to join anyone. She was kicking everyone in the face. But then she.
Oh, yeah, that's why I thought it was going as well. For like,
and I was like happy about that, but.
So up until this point, every single match has had former WWE stars in it, and eventually, every company is going to have a little bit of both. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Including the next match, which is Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, Texas Death Match. All right, look, it's not like I.
All right,
can't
I'm going to say this at the top.
Yeah,
I like this match, Andy.
it's not that I can't watch it. It's just one. Okay, maybe I'd like it better if they didn't do Texas Death Matches like every month. That's one of my biggest complaints about it. Is that it's like we've talked about overdoing Hell in a Cells and overdoing certain matches. It makes them less.
And also, Moxley was just bleeding on Wednesday.
Didn't take him long in this match to start bleeding. They broke out a fork, and he was stabbing the shit out of Hangman's forehead. Looking like Abdullah the Butcher up in here. My friend brought this up to me, and I agree. I don't like the pre-made contraptions out there. It just feels less
like the tables with barbed wire and all that.
Yeah, when they're out there, like it's like this like thing with just barbed wire already wrapped around it, and it's like, I
mean, you might as well get the Sami Zayn mousetrap thing, or the Johnny Knoxville. At that point,
yeah, like it was already like a built thing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to,
or at least like they could pull it out from under the ring rather than just having it out already.
Yeah. Besides the ending, what are some spots that you guys remember? The fork definitely stood out for me.
Yeah, the chain and the bricks.
Okay, so they brought a brick. Did Hangman do a Deadeye onto it, or I know he attempted to at least.
So first Moxley brought the bricks and put Hangman's hand between the two and stomps on it. And then, he did a Deadeye on the bricks. And also threw chairs with barbed wire.
Now this spot was stupid, okay? Hangman wrapped barbed wire around
Oh,
him,
that was so stupid.
and then did a moonsault and like didn't even hit Mox, and it was just like,
yeah.
Why?
And I'm like, that's of course it's gonna hurt you more.
They clawed on each other's back with like their nails.
That's the part
And
that I
then,
remember the most.
Barbed wire and like
Yeah, because that angle,
though, and like scraped down his back as well.
And I could just
like that angle that they had with the turnbuckle.
the scraping of the back.
Yeah,
I was like, I know how that feels actually. And I was like, yeah.
Normally, when
but
I'm getting
it
my
ended-
back
I mean,
scraped, that's not what's happening.
and I'm like, do it harder, and they're like, I'm like,
All right.
Moxley. Give it to me, Moxley. Speaking of other industries, so it ended with there was a chain wrapped around Moxley's neck, and Moxley was flipped over the rope, and
Hangman was hanging Moxley.
He literally let go of the chain, though. Moxley did, because you got to sell it, brother. And actually,
he was really selling it.
Was getting fucking choked out by this chain. But as soon as he let go, that thing tightened fully, and he went instantly for the tap on his chest.
Yeah.
But Hangman,
he was really going for it.
Won. I hope this feud is over. This is their. I mean,
too.
okay, think about it.
This is their fourth.
They've had 3 singles matches. What could you do besides, I guess, Texas Death Match for their 4th match? If you want to do like
No, this was their fourth.
Yeah, but I'm saying besides Texas Deathmatch, what else could you do that, like, back in the day, it was like you ended in Hell in a Cell. Like, that's where the feud ends. It's a big, big final match. That or like, 2 out 3 falls or something.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know where else. They shouldn't go anywhere else for this feud, but
no. I mean, how do you? Oh, and I'm sure there's a bunch of spots we forgot about. Look, some people love it. It's, and that's why there's a bunch of different kinds of wrestling for everyone. There's,
I like it when it's one match of the
there's
card.
CZW. There's an entire company devoted to stuff like this. ECW was, it's people would like that over, regular wrestling. I will give it to Tony Khan, and he definitely does a little bit of everything for everyone. But
dude, there's definitely some
other
dudes.
Thoughts on this match?
There was definitely some dudes with some like undercut ponytails and like some ICP shirts and like some like bondage pants that were hyped about this match. They were out there somewhere watching, and they were still, oh yeah.
Yeah,
they were like, dude,
I think
they were like, dude, when we do this in the backyard tomorrow.
The guy that was pissing in the corner at the show that we went to, he was hyped about it.
And shout out to the GCW.
We don't need to talk about
guy.
that guy anymore.
Yeah, he was wearing a GCW at the show. He was pissing in his corner of his house while watching, like, fuck yeah.
In his corner of the house.
So, look, I will say, I mean...
He doesn't have a restroom. He just has a corner, like a compost pile of sorts.
I will say, out of the past few Texas death matches that I've seen, I did like this one probably the best.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Better than the ones that have been on TV lately. They should have thrown each other in a piss pile.
Did we tell that story on the pod? I don't feel like we can just leave it like that.
Yes, you told it on the pod before. You told it on the pod.
Told it so many times.
Yeah.
So just one more time for the road. So we were at an AEW Dynamite, and there was a drunk guy.
By the way, a lot of people are around us at this point when this happens. There's a lot of people.
There's women, children.
The reason why he did this is because the line for the men's bathroom was so long. So there's a lot of people around.
Not because he's used to going in a corner in his house.
No, he has a
Look, he's like, I know what a corner looks like when I see one.
he's like, this is what I do at home. So randomly there's just a gentleman in a GCW shirt, and he urinated in a trash can in front of.
Dude, it wasn't in a trash can. It was behind a pillar on a sill.
Oh, he wasn't into the trash can.
The pillar doesn't touch the wall; it comes close.
So now the story changes.
Yeah.
All I know is this man removed.
And I went over to him. I said, "You need any help?" It was gross, man. I remember you looked at me. You're like, there's a guy pissing right now. I was like, where? A lot of people didn't even notice. More people didn't notice than did notice.
I was in line to get something to eat, and that made me not so hungry afterwards.
You're like, I don't want ice cream and cake anymore. All right, next match: Samoa Joe versus Wardlow, TNT Championship. Wardlow can freaking move for a big guy, guys.
Dude, that swanton he does?
I mean, he loves the Hardy Boys. That's why he does swantons all the time. But sometimes they're better than some smaller guys that do it. His swantons. So. What do you guys think of this match? The way he beat Joe is a way that Joe normally would win, by choking him out. So Wardlow is now the new TNT champion, which it looks like we're going to get back to Wardlow and Hobbs now. Hobbs was in the audience watching. But what are your guys' thoughts on this match?
Big ring. I liked it. It probably wasn't my favorite. It might have been my least favorite match of the show. but
of all time.
But yeah, I think it was still good. I think Wardlow. I think he was he hurt, or did he have something else going on that he wasn't wrestling for
a little bit?
Yeah,
his haircut.
Yeah, but there's something else I thought.
Oh, he cut his hair and then he was out. He had to wait for his hair to grow
he was
back
out for
normal.
like a couple months. I feel like they were gonna do this.
He's gonna get hair heat
anyways.
He's got hair heat backstage.
You don't want to come in with a shaved head. That's hair heat, especially when you had good hair
All
like
the
that.
other shaved heads, jealous.
That's one of my all-time favorite segments. Is when we were talking about what's that guy, the assassin dude who was bald on NXT.
Oh,
Now
Karrion
he's
Kross.
yeah,
The assassin dude. It's Karrion Kross, but I don't know why I knew that.
I said he had hair heat because he was bald, and then no one knew that he could grow a great head of hair.
And I was like, you like had me in like the beginning.
Oh yeah.
You had me in the first set. But Tim, you saw this match. Anything to add?
No, it wasn't my least favorite match on the show, but I'll say this. It wasn't my favorite match on the show, but it also was my least favorite match on the show.
It was just there to you.
Yeah. No, but it was also my least
After that,
favorite
we
match on
had
the show.
the Fatal 4-Way
Great
Tag
announcement.
Team match. We had the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, because I want to get to this main event. We had the Guns versus the Acclaim versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett versus Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. As for the Tag Team Championships, winners were the Guns, and I gotta say, before we get into what happened in the match, when that hit 3 count, dude, you could have heard a pin drop. There was literally no cheers and no cheers. It was just like
No one cares about them.
Everyone was like what? Like there was nothing. They got the mic and they wanted to be recognized as like the best tag team in the world. And then FTR's music hits and they come out and they start brawling and Dax ends up getting busted open very quickly during those
In like
punches.
3 seconds.
Right with those punches. And so they take out the Guns and it looks like we're getting FTR versus the Guns. I mean, if FTR loses to the Guns again, because
No.
remember they already lost for the Guns to get the shot at the Acclaim to get the titles. Because that was the last time we saw them. It's been at
FTR
least a
have
month.
to be the next champs.
God, hopefully. Have they only been the champs one time
I think so.
in AEW?
That was back during like the COVID era too.
Yeah. They had it for a little bit, but yeah, when they were with Tully. Any spots you want to talk about with this match in particular? You said you knew
All of
some
my
Danhausen stuff.
Yeah, all of my spots are
He was
Danhausen.
looking up at Satnam.
And he was like, "You," and then he tried to curse him.
Of course,
actually
Danhausen
did
is the
some
one that got
moves.
pinned though at the end of the match.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of figured that was going to happen, but Danhausen did get some moves in like, early on. Yeah, but it was fun to watch though.
Trying to think of some other stuff, but
Oh, and then the spot with Danhausen, and then Singh, and then Orange Cassidy comes in, punches him, and then Danhausen low blows him with he has like a hilarious low blow punch because he like kneels down right next to him and like it's a straight right hand.
Okay.
And then Singh is like bent over, and then Daddy Ass comes in and does his
Daddy ass, not even
famous
ass.
Daddy ass. No.
That's
Oh
it.
yeah, he did do the famous sir.
Yeah, he like sat on his head though when he did it.
All right, let's get into this main event and wrap up the show. MJF versus Bryan Danielson Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. MJF comes out to a bunch of people in masks and violins, and they're playing one tune that eventually switches to his actual theme song, and he comes out in his devil mask that he wore at I can't even think what the paper. I guess All In.
All Out.
All Out. I always say the wrong. I always say All In when I mean All Out. So he comes out to that. Bryan Danielson, I believe, is already out there. There's a lot to say about this match. All right. One, yeah, it was long, so there's a lot to say. I will say off the top, awesome match. MJF is great. Danielson, everyone knows, is great. Them two together, really, it was some good old-fashioned wrestling to me.
It was.
MJF was selling his knee a lot of the time, I believe.
Yeah, it was knee, and then Danielson was selling his shoulder.
Yeah, there was a sequence in the beginning. It was like it got an applaud from the crowd though. Within the first few minutes, if you remember, they were kind of going back and forth. There's some chain wrestling. Yeah, some chain wrestling. That was good.
And then right after that, though, MJF was you see he was walking around like outside the ring, and he like goes over to this one crowd, and then he took the mom's drink and then splashes it onto the kid.
Yeah.
You see that? That kid wasn't like a plant or anything. He just did that to a random kid.
He's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, what you get. Speaking of drinks, he had waters around under the apron. He kept drinking throughout the match and pouring on himself.
Yeah. Danielson kept doing jumping jacks.
Yeah, and I remember one time he was like, yes, like doing the yes. So yeah, give me your guys' thoughts on this. Anything that stood out? What you guys think of this whole match? It came down to 3 and 3 falls each. Then it was a draw, and Tony Khan had told them to say no, this is sudden death, and then it went back and forth, and NJF ended up making Danielson tap out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I was surprised.
But yeah, give me your guys' thoughts. Everything.
Well, I mean,
a lot of blood.
Yeah, it was a lot of blood too. The ring was covered, like the mat, was covered in blood by the end of it. But this was one of my favorite Iron Man matches, I think, of ever.
It was very good.
Yeah, but the one thing I didn't like was when MJF low blowed Danielson like right in front of the ref, because it was obviously a DQ. They didn't really make it seem that it was a DQ, and then Danielson pinned him, or MJF pinned him twice, and everyone was confused until they showed the scores.
Yeah, they added, because it happened so quickly,
Yeah.
they added a point to Danielson and said 2-0, and then everyone thought they messed up, but then MJF's 2 pins in a row.
Yeah. That was the only thing that I was like, it looked kind of confusing for a second, but
it's because it was
everything
quick
else I thought was,
between the 3 falls.
Everything else was perfect.
Tim?
But
yeah, I mean, like Jeremy was saying, I think
this is your style of match.
Yeah, this is one of the better Iron Man matches I think I've ever seen, and it was very reminiscent of the sudden death of. So when Brett and Shawn had theirs, no one had gotten any pinfalls, and in this one, instead, it was 3-3, and went to sudden death, and then the match restarted. So it was a pretty cool callback, but a little bit of a different version, and yeah, a lot of blood.
MJF's a stud too.
To be honest, I'm surprised Danielson. To be honest, I'm surprised Danielson tapped. And then the other thing is, did you guys notice?
Yeah,
it was a very split crowd reaction. Like I felt like Danielson was getting pretty heavy in the beginning, and then he kind of won him over again.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, midway through. But did you see? I think it was towards the end. Danielson, I think it was the very first time I've ever seen him actually do it in AEW, which he actually started the yes chant. Like he was actually doing it. When he was like lining up for the knee again. But usually he just doesn't. He doesn't do the yes chant anymore. He just puts his hands up.
I thought that's why he like never does it, is because
he said it was like out of
him. But
yeah, he said it was like out of respect for WWE.
Well, the twins, the Bella twins, were there backstage with their kids, as well as.
Are they going to be on All Access?
No. I'm sure they'll find a way to get in and get on TV. But yeah, anything else you guys want to add to this match? Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
It's great.
I watched it twice.
But that wraps up the pay-per-view. It'll be a while till the next one. for AEW. Our next pay-per-view that we're going to cover is premium live event is WrestleMania.
PLE.
PLE.
So stupid.
So Tim, take us out. Classic show of the week.
Classic show of the week this week is WCW Halloween Havoc 1997. The two key matches you're looking for on that show is Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio and Macho Man Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page. Go enjoy, have fun with those two classic matches. And I guess that does wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us. This was episode 75. And join us next week where we talk all things pro wrestling here on the PW Fan. Bye, everybody, and have a great rest of your week.